bring you all the latest updates in Operation Sindoor. Breaking news coming in on your screens right now. Security has been heightened in Amritsar. Now, Shri Guru Ram Das Ji International Airport security has been heightened. Functions of the airport have been shut until further notice. So, Amritsar joins a long list of airports which are under tighter security. Security has been now heightened in Amritsar. The international airport, Shri Guru Ram Das Ji, is now under special security. The functions of the airport have been shut. So the Amritsar airport has also been shut as of this morning. More news, of course, coming in by the way of what transpired late last night. As many as 50 drones, we are given to understand, were successfully neutralized during a large-scale counter-drone operation conducted by the Indian Army Air Defence units in the areas of Udhampur, Samba, Jammu, Aknoor, Nagrota, Pathankot areas. The engagement involved extensive use of L-70 guns, the Shilka systems and other advanced counter-UAS equipments, which now demonstrate Indian Army's robust capability to counter any aerial threats. And news also coming in from Uri right now. Pakistan continues to violate the ceasefire in Uri as well. Civilian cars have been now targeted by Pakistan in Uri as of this morning. Pakistan, in its attempt to target civilian infrastructure, civilians, as well as military installations, is now continuing to bomb across the LOC using mortar, artillery, as well as drones, 50 of which were neutralized by Indian Army Air Defence Unit. On the show with us is Major General Dr. Rajan Kochar, Air Marshal Dipendu Chaudhary. Also with us is Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Sanjay Kulkarni is not with us. Major General Rajan Kochar, you were talking about how the entirety of last night, there was a sense of chaos, there was mayhem, and as we wake up this morning, we are now trying to make sense of what transpired, sir. 50 drones, a swarm drone attack by Pakistan, all of it neutralized, goes on to suggest that India is prepared, sir, for any eventuality and any further attack that Pakistan and Pakistan soil may emanate on India in days and hours to come.
Shweta, this is the beginning. Pakistan is not going to de-escalate whatever we may say. And there is no international pressure working anywhere on us or Pakistan. So we have to accept the fact that we are heading into a full-fledged war. Why we are saying that it's not a full-fledged war as of now? Because all the resources of a war have not been used so far. And once these resources also get into play, so I would right now like to term it as a limited conventional conflict. And in days to come, when we see the land forces also getting into play, then I think is a very, very serious sort of a concern. And why I'm saying is that the Pakistan Army has a sustenance level. We have been evaluating this. I have done a series of staff checks on this. Around, if it goes into an intense mode of fighting, around 7 to 10 days. That is why we are seeing this predominance of drone warfare. And why I'm saying this is because 2 years back, Pakistan formed its drone brigade, and it had immense help from China and Turkey. Bayraktar drones are there with Pakistan. Akinci drones are there with Pakistan from Turkey and from China also. So there is, I would say, a sufficient amount of drones for Pakistan to carry out these swarm drone attacks, as you mentioned, because this is the beginning, and it's a low-cost option, and it also results in stretching our air defense resources. We all need to understand one thing: we don't have unlimited ammunition, unlimited air defense resources. Now, India also has its own constraints, and we must realize this You see,
You
bravado
that
is
on constraints, Major General, I think it's also important to understand the constraints that India may not face. I think in war rhetoric, we often forget a lot about how prepared we are as a country to go to war and whether it is in anybody's interest at all in the long run. Let me get in Air Marshal Dipendu Chaudhary, who's still with us. Sir, I think something very interesting that Major General pointed out, and he said that the sustenance levels of a Pakistani army could be at about 7 to 10 days, but at the same time, come to think of it, for it to be declared a full-fledged war, there's not been enough mobilization of in the Indian army. So far, we've only seen the Indian Air Force being mobilized. We've seen some part of Navy also preparing itself since late last night. But as far as the mobilization of Indian Army forces is concerned, that hasn't really happened, and that could only happen when this escalates further. That could perhaps be what we should fear in the long run.
Tata, I would like to make one point clear. Any nation, when it gets into conflict, it's a very serious, and so nobody would like to. They would always like to keep the powder warm and dry. That means your equipment and ammunition conserved, ready. Your troops and all your military forces of all the three services at a certain level of readiness, and no one commits the whole all its resources in one go. And that is the norm of war across the world, and that's how it's been for centuries. This is no different. But the difference here is that unlike us, Pakistani military is also is between the devil and the deep sea. It has started this whole series of actions, which the coach mentioned is a limited one, and I quite tend to agree with that. It's probably the first level of level, but do understand the Pakistani military is constrained to keep its backyard safe. It has issues down south. It has issues on its western borders up in the north. So Pakistan is also stressed. Do understand that the Pakistani Air Force itself is also carrying out limited action, and this is a tradition which the Pakistani Air Force has been doing even in previous wars. It conserves its assets and does not want to lose it because it's not a very big air force. So that is the challenge. But the issue is that they are relatively much weaker. Their war fighting capacity. There's something called a combat capacity and a combat sustenance, stamina. I think we exceed them far more in this. So we are very clear, and like I said earlier, and I think it's been talked about, this whole calibration business is all about this. It's about stated actions at the right level at the right time, and you bring in all your resources. You mentioned the Air Force has been mobilized. What actually has happened is, yes, the Air Force has been activated for its air defense, and that happens well before all this would have started. Please understand that it's not started after that. The moment the first attack happened, it would have occurred. The moment there's increased air activity or when the airspace was closed, things were very clear. Pakistan did that in Balakot as well. So the point is there are enough signals. The question is, yes, war will hurt Pakistan. It will hurt us equally. And please, like there's a whole saying that says, never ask the price of war to a soldier. He knows it best. So for a civilian's perspective as well, and for a national perspective, war is the last thing that India wants.
Absolutely.
But we have been pushed, lines have been crossed. And yet, I think we're showing tremendous amount of restraint and maturity in not doing the whole hog. And I think that call, when it is needed, will be taken most certainly.